Welcome to the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. Brought to you by Blue Sky Business Consulting. We discuss 5 questions in about 15 minutes. Hello again, everyone. It's time for the Team Engagement Podcast. I'm your host, Shawn Richards, and my wonderful guest today, this is Natalie Spiro, and she is joining us from San Diego, California. She is the CEO of Drum Cafe North America. So Natalie, we got you and I have obviously talked before we started the podcast recording here, but the audience has to know of this cool thing that Drum Cafe is doing. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing.
Absolutely, Shawn. Thank you for having me. So Drum Cafe North America is basically a team bonding, team building company that uses African djembe drumming, which is kind of like bongos, African djembe drumming to build unity, to build connection between people, to open up conferences in a fun, unique, energizing, inspiring way. Everyone in the audience gets a drum. I bring a team of musicians with me, and we literally build kind of the corporate intake, the corporate content through the program so that it's really relevant to the participants, but not only relevant, it's fun and exciting at the same time. So instead of going through a million PowerPoint slides, you're playing a drum, which is people's primal behavior. They love to hit a drum. And literally you're engaging with everybody, and you're getting all the core information that you need, and you're also using your left and right brain, which then helps you to kind of experience the program through your heart, not your head.
Oh, I really like that. It sounds like a lot of fun.
It's so much fun and so unique.
Yeah, it's very, I've never heard of anything like it. I'm in this industry of teams and leadership and team building and so forth, but this is a new one. And so I'm sitting here thinking, well, I got to figure out how to go meet Natalie whenever she's presenting next and watch this, because it just sounds so cool.
I'll send you some videos.
Yes, please do. I'd love to watch it. So that's great. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started with our questions then. So Natalie, the first question, how can leaders kind of create a psychologically safe environment for their team or company?
Yeah, I think that's such an important question. When you have, I can tell you that Gallup Clifton Strengths, or Gallup as an organization, has done a lot of research, as you know. And the 2 biggest reasons people leave their job is 1, because they hate their manager, and 2, because they don't have a BFF, inside the organization.
Yes.
And so if leaders are not creating an environment of where they are not being vulnerable themselves, they're not being transparent, they're not kind of providing servant leadership, they're not giving feedback or wanting to receive feedback, and they lack emotional intelligence, you are not creating an environment of psychological safety. People want to come to work. They don't want to feel like they are only included, right? They want to, because we have a diverse workforce. We can't say we don't. But they don't only want to be included. They want to feel like they belong. And there's many things leaders can do to make people feel that they belong in a team, especially if they have, diverse backgrounds. So psychological safety is around feelings of trust and belonging.
I like that. Such great points you make. And I'm a big fan of the research that Gallup has been doing all of these decades, and love what you shared about the importance of helping people feel like they belong and have an opportunity to contribute, because that's really what all of us desire. So love those comments. Thank you for sharing those. Question number 2. Now, Natalie, obviously you've had who knows how many, dozens, hundreds maybe, of people that have influenced you. If you could think of one person that had a significant impact in your life, what's the one word that you would use to describe that person?
It's such a brilliant question, because I've been asked that question a lot, and by many people. My accent, I come from South Africa, so that's where I grew up. And the one person who really influenced me in my life was Nelson Mandela. I've read all of his books. I've seen his, all the shows. That man was, when you want to talk about, a true leader, somebody who really understood how to bring people, such diverse people together and unify people that was Nelson Mandela. He was like a prophet. And I was around during apartheid, and especially when apartheid fell and Nelson Mandela was released from prison. The one word I can use, and I use it all the time, even in, I mean, it is the basis of my drumming company, is Ubuntu, which is a South African term that means I am who I am because of those around me, or I am because you are. And essentially, we are all mirror images of each other. And Ubuntu, you know, what it talks to is, you know, it brings people, it makes you want to kind of collaborate, connect, you know, be a part of a team, and be a part of a group without judging people based on their diversity of beingness or thought. And that's what I love about Ubuntu. And it's what, as I said, is the basis of my whole team building business, because that's the core thing we do.
Oh, I love that. I got to make sure I pronounce it correctly. Ubuntu?
Ubuntu with a U.
Ubuntu.
Yeah.
Spell it for me if you don't mind.
Ubuntu.
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 Ubuntu. Okay. Oh, that's such a great, beautiful concept. I love that. I love the word. That's a new one. I've asked this question of all our guests this particular season. I get a different word every week, and this is a great one because this is a new one and it's a foreign one, at least to the English language. But I love what it stands for. Love what it stands for. Thank you for sharing that. All right, question number 3. How can leaders really foster a growth mindset, either for themselves or for the teams that they lead? Talk about growth mindset. What does that mean for you?
To me, growth mindset equals emotional intelligence, right? And I think you have to have it in yourself first before you can actually lead with it. So it's kind of like everything in life, right? If we take care, if we have self-care, then we have enough space in our cup to bring self-care or help facilitate self-care in others. If it's overflowing, if our cup is overflowing, we can never bring the right self-care to others. So for me, growth mindset is having an open mindset, whether you have differing opinions, whatever it is, political, economic, religious, it doesn't make a difference. As long as you can be open to other people's ideas and be able to communicate in a way that shares your ideas without animosity or taking things personally, because that's really what it's about. It's about having kind of conscious, thoughtful, crucial conversations with people, which need to happen every day. And they might be difficult conversations, but you can have them in an adult, mature way, because you have self-awareness, you have self-management, you have high social awareness and high relationship management. So for me, it's all about that.
Oh, I like that. Great comments, because that's part of the challenge that some leaders are facing, is this idea of what it means, even just to define it. What does it mean to have a growth mindset, and how do I implement it, and so on and so forth. So thank you for sharing those ideas. Great ideas. Question number 4, and it kind of continues on this discussion from what we were just talking about. But when we talk about emotional wellness, especially for the leader themselves, it's such a big topic in recent years and in the last couple of decades about managing emotional wellness. How can leaders do that effectively?
Shawn, obviously everybody's built differently. So some people, are super type A, extroverted type people who need a lot of action in their lives. If I use Gallup's Clifton Strengths terminology, high achievers are going to want to do things that bring them that, help, that helping, that mental kind of stability. So emotional kind of health for me personally as a leader, emotional health for me is about taking care of myself, having boundaries, taking time for the smallest thing. Before I answer a question, if I feel like somebody's poking me or I'm feeling aroused by a question, I take a deep breath and I count to 10. Sometimes I walk around with a little, semi-precious stone in my pocket, and I squeeze the semi-precious stone, and then I respond.
Mm.
I take pause before I jump into a situation. I do exercise. Meditation doesn't work with me, but I listen to beautiful classical or jazz music. So going out to an event, and listening to good music, really carving out time for myself and being able to say no to certain things where I always want to say yes,
Right.
because it serves me better to say no and rest rather than run is what helps me. And I feel like leaders can create or help their their direct reports
Mhm.
really take the time and create that time, facilitate that time, to carve out time in their calendar to do a course for themselves, or to take some meditation time, to switch off the lights in their office and put a do not disturb sign on their door. Take a walk outside in the on the grass and put your feet on the grass. Whatever floats your boat and gives you that personal sense of calm and groundedness is what I think managers and leaders need to do for themselves and for their people.
Oh, I completely agree. And I really appreciate you mentioning that meditation doesn't work for you, because that's probably what I would consider the key to this question: is find out what works best for you. And so to all the leaders out there who are watching or listening, I hope that you heard what Natalie said about finding what works for you. That this thing may not work, but maybe taking a walk or listening to classical jazz music, whatever it is, that you are finding what works for you to help you maintain that emotional well-being and balance that is so critical, so that you can lead more effectively. Because I thought those were great ideas. All right. Our last question, a fun question. You've got a baseball story that you want to share with me, so I'm excited to hear it.
It's not a very funny story, but I have to say,
Hey.
I'm from South Africa, right? So we play cricket. And in actual fact, when I grew up in South Africa, I had two leagues that I belonged to. I had a women's league. We had something called action cricket, which was indoor cricket, and I loved indoor cricket. So we had a couples kind of mixed league, and then we had a all women's league. And that was like my passion. We used to go at night to watch the 50 overs, because they wore each team would wear a different color, right? The different provinces which we had at the time.
Yeah.
Um, so when I came to America, before I decided I was emigrating to San Diego, a very good friend here took me to see a baseball game. He said, "You have to go see baseball." And I was like, "Oh, wow, this is like the most amazing game." I mean, it took me pretty quick to kind of learn the rules.
Yeah.
But he was most enamored about my comments, because it was so kind of un-American, right? Like, you stand up and you have to sing the songs that are on the screen. Loved the beer and the hot dog situation. We didn't have, I mean, we had beer in South Africa, but it wasn't like a beer and hot dog thing at cricket.
Yeah.
Uh, what I loved was, like, I was kind of saying to him, if the ball was off, I would say that was a really shitty shot. And he thought that was like the funniest thing, because how do you say it's a shitty shot? So this was my take on baseball, and I still go to matches because I really enjoy it. I don't know if you call them, I guess, matches. But I love the Padres, and obviously they're my team. And yeah, it's a fun thing to do. It's like, to me, that's another emotional well-being kind of thing that I like to do.
Well, they call it a pastime, America's pastime, for a
Okay.
reason. So I agree with you. I find it very therapeutic to just watch a game and enjoy it. Unless, of course, the team I'm rooting for, I'm a big Phillies fan. If they're losing, I don't relax quite as much as I would like to, but that's part of the game. So
That's the other thing. I mean, Americans are no different to South Africans. Like, people get really tense. Or Londoners. When I was in London recently, I went to go see a Tottenham Hotspur game with a friend of mine who's got, yearly tickets. And the crowd was, I mean, they were losing so badly, and the crowd went crazy. They were so intensely. If you go there, for me, it's not like that connection, that tense connection, but I love to go physically to a game. I don't like to watch it on TV. I like to
Interesting.
be amongst people and talk to people and hear their reactions, and that's what's exciting about it.
There is an energy when you're in person. I agree.
Oh
So
yeah,
that's
it's exactly like my drumming programs. You have to be in person.
I like it. Thanks so much for sharing that story. I love it because you do come from a different country with a different sporting view, and so baseball, but you obviously picked up on it fairly quickly as far as the rules and whatnot. Because that's usually what throws people is like, I don't understand really what's going on here and why there's these different things. But thank you so much for sharing that story. And thank you for joining me on the podcast today. I really appreciate it. It's always fun for me to talk to experienced leaders that have so much to share. So thank you for sharing all of your insight and wisdom with us today. How can people find you?
It's a pleasure, Shawn. Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome.
So my website, which is www.Drum Cafe North America, all written out. My email is Natalie at Drum Cafe North America, written out. And please feel free to text me on 858-583-1960. I love receiving texts. I love, you can fill out a contact form, but this is such a great, it's a great program to kick off your meetings and your conferences if you're thinking about that.
Fantastic. Well, thank you again. And thanks to all of you who are joining us every week for the Team Engagement Podcast to learn a little bit more about how we can be more effective leaders. So thanks to all of you. I wish all of you a great day. This is Shawn Richards with the Team Engagement Podcast. We'll talk to you again next week. This is Shawn Richards with the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. Be sure to follow or subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss an episode. And for more leadership tips, pick up your copy of Rapid Fire Leadership by going to rapidfireleadership.com, where you can also download free resources to help you in your leadership role. Thanks for joining us today. Have a great day.